Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Wilmington Cable, Video, and Telecommunications Commission for Friday, December the 5th, 2025. I am Truppy Congo, Chair of the CVT Commission. First, before we get started, I'd like to do a roll call of the CVT Commissioners in attendance this afternoon. Vice Chair Letitia Bracey. Vice Chair Letitia Bracey. We will mark her as present. I do. Maybe she's having some audio difficulties.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Colby Owens.
Present.
Commissioner Maria Cabrera. Commissioner Elijah Simmons.
Present.
Commissioner Kelly Williams. Commissioner Dan Walker.
Present.
Commissioner Terrence Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Rosa Marie Tasson.
Present.
Are there any council members who are present today? Any other council members who are not on the commission?
Councilmember Darby.
All right, thank you for joining us. I'd like to also acknowledge others that are in attendance this afternoon. Marshall Bassenite, our Senior Legislative Advisor and CFO at City Council. Yes. Okay. Councilman Alex Hackett is also with us virtually. John Stant, our Assistant City Solicitor. Anita Hawks, Legislative Administrative Assistant. If you can please review the draft minutes from our March 14th, 2025 CVT Commission meeting. I'll accept the motion to adopt the March 14th, 2025.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I could make a motion to amend Section 5, should say Vice Chair Bracey and not Chair Congo.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to accept the minute meetings.
Second.
Motion has been moved and second to adopt the March 14th CVT minutes. Next, as far as new business, we have a discussion on the Verizon cable franchise agreement on the possibility for Wilmington. Commissioner Simmons, if you can please provide an update.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So brief update for the commission. Earlier this week, we had a conversation with our outside attorney and basically discussed with him that Verizon had reached out to the city with some potential interest in partnering with us to be able to go into a cable franchise agreement. In this discussion with our outside attorney, he basically sort of gave us some ideas in terms of how to go about the conversations and basically try to see if there's a possibility where we could potentially match the same agreement with that we currently have with Comcast with Verizon and do our best in a negotiation process to get the best outcome possibly from for the city. It's a good understanding to know that the outside attorney spoke and said that if it is the case where we are able to match this agreement with Verizon that we have currently with Comcast, that it would not resolve the current solvency issue we face with the CVT fund. So that's something to keep in mind as we.
Excuse me. Commissioner Tasson, did you have a question or comment?
Not a question or comment, but I would just, a comment. I would just caution in terms of going into detail about what specifically was discussed with outside counsel, as that would be considered attorney-client privilege.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just to clarify, not trying to go into too many details in terms of what was discussed, more so just trying to give a high-level overview, just a basic understanding of what was talked about. But in other words, we will be reaching out to Verizon to talk about a potential partnership.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any other commissioners? Commissioner? Oh, Commissioner Walker? Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chair, President Congo. Just one question about the conversations with Verizon. Curious if this will have to result in this committee approving and working on the opening of an RFP for that to happen.
Michelle?
Chair, yeah, so we have a whole section in Chapter 6 of the code that lays out the process. So I don't want to say necessarily like a RFP, but there will have to be an application process. They will have to pay application fee. There will have to be a public hearing. Once some of those steps occur, then like we know like a time frame, right? We want to be able to move as swiftly as possible.
Yes, follow up, Commissioner Walker.
Thank you. Yeah, I was Ms. Bass Knight honed in on exactly on the section that I was looking at, specifically section 6-37. It has the word may in here. I just was curious around what initiates the use of an RFP, because it's a little vague if that's been discussed at all, or just more conversations to come.
Yeah, so more, if I can,
Yes.
Chairman, yeah, so more conversations to come. So we did have a high-level conversation with our inside counsel. So we did see the word like may, meaning that, not like necessarily. So, and of course, we'll be having monthly meetings with the CVT Commission. So we're scheduling that out so everybody can be informed to be part of the process. I believe one of the things our chief of staff is going to share is at some point there is going to be like a member of the mayor's team that will be part of the negotiation team as well.
Yes, Commissioner Walker.
With the level of conversation with Verizon, I was curious if there were any other entities that may have reached out to you all about possibly entering into franchise agreements with us.
No, there were not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have any questions or comments? Does anyone from the public have any questions or comments? Councilmember Darby?
Yes, I know, in the last administration, they did have conversations with them too. I know one of the issues, and I just want to make sure that we don't go down this rabbit hole, is they only wanted to provide, service to basically high income, predominantly white areas in the city. So I just want to make sure that when I know I'm not a part of the conversations, but that conversation is had, is that either they're going to serve everybody or nobody. So thank you.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yeah, and Councilwoman Darby, I just want to clarify so that when Verizon submitted an application, I want to say it's been, more than 10, probably more like 10, 12, probably like 13 years ago. That was part of like the initial discussion. That's one of the reasons they have pulled their application. I don't believe that's necessarily the case going forward. That's the reason they have since reached out. And one of the things that is in Chapter 6, it does explain when an entity comes into the city as far as how they can lay out their cabling services, meaning it doesn't have to be all the way through every city street in the city. So that is in our code. And it'd be up to like this CVT commission meeting to take the suggestion that you have under consideration. So it is noted for the record.
Thank you. Does anyone else from the public have any questions or comments? Commissioner Walker?
Just one comment for general discussion as we indulge the Verizon conversations, which I want to state for the record, I'm happy that they are coming back to the table. I think there are a lot of individuals in our city that want the option to go with either with more than one company. Just general point of comment for the discussion is moving forward is we should make sure we understand that not just where their wiring and cable will be, but also the duty to perform maintenance, repair, and upkeep of said equipment. As you drive across the city now, you can see there's a ton of work happening, and as we add more to our infrastructure, we want to make sure that it's upkept in a respectable manner.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments from commissioners or anyone from the public? All right, seeing no hands raised, we will move to our next business item. We're going to have an overview of the solvency of the cable, video, and television fund. Commissioner Walker has asked for discussion regarding the solvency of the CVT fund to be on the meeting agenda. Commissioner Walker, if you can please share or discuss.
Thank you, President Congo. I thought it was prudent as we are approaching the end of the calendar year and more than halfway through the fiscal year that the committee receive an update on where we are with regarding the CTV fund. The genesis for this discussion came with, I know there are comments and discussions happening. We're all thinking of ways to ensure the solvency of the fund, and I was really looking to see where are some of those plans. Have an open discussion with the broader committee to vet out scenarios if there are any being presented, and to share some cautions. I think we have to face the reality of during the last meeting. And I think later on the agenda, we'll get to a discussion around a draft TPO agreement. I do not see any funds being dedicated to the upcoming TPO, which makes me to assume we'll be looking at scenario one, which was presented during our meeting, I believe, in March, which shows that the fund is not only are we spending more than we bring in currently, but we're tapping into our balance just this year alone, fiscal year 2026. I believe we used roughly $257,000 to balance the fund, and we don't have a lot of money left in that balanced account. I'll ask Ms. Bassnight for an update on that fund balance momentarily for the record. The total approved budget was over $1 million, approximately $1,037,060. At that rate, we see that we are not only operating in the red, but we will soon deplete our fund. It's good to hear we have people interested in helping to coming into the city, which will help boost up our solvency a tad. But as Commissioner Simmons noted, it will not solve the general solvency problem. And so I think it's time for serious conversations around what we do with the fund moving forward, because what I do not want to see is a delay in a decision that results in this going to the general fund, which at the current rate of depressed subscribers and at the current rate of spending, if this was to be absorbed fully by the general fund, we will have to result in a property tax increase for our residents. And so I think it's time now that we have those serious conversations and involve and look at serious scenarios, because my concern is the unexpected consequence of a property tax increase for our general public. And so I would ask Ms. Bassnight if she has an update on the balance of the KTV fund, as well as an update on our spending year to date versus our approved budget.
Yeah. So as of June 30th, the fund balance is $1.94 million. So basically, that's our savings account. We know for 5 years, when we did the extension of the Comcast franchise agreement, that we were anticipated to receive $3.5 million. off of the 5% of gross receipts, and $450,000 for the PEG funds. In addition, we get funds from WITN from Newcastle County for covering their Newcastle County council meetings and their committee meetings, which over 5 years is $221,000. So for 5 years, the total amount of revenues is $4.1 million. WITN's budget over 5 years is going to be $5.4 million. So yes, and that's a net difference of 1.2 million, meaning 1.2 million in the red. But although it's 1.2 million in the red, we also have a savings of $1.94 million. So as you stated, Chairman Walker, yes, there was a difference when we did this budget that we had to go into our savings. In 2025, we had to go into our savings. So one of the things that we tried to be prudent, because we knew that the number of subscribers has diminished immensely over the years. So going back to 2016, we had 18,521 subscribers. As of June 30th, we now have 7,717 subscribers. When we're looking at the amount of revenue, if we go back as far as fiscal year 2017, we had 1.2 million in franchise fees. It's projected for fiscal year 2026 to have 726,000. So that is like the difference. But once again, in those years when revenues exceeded budget, we did our due diligence to make sure we put money in a kitty so that when we have these years where expenditures exceed revenues, that we can go into the savings account. So we looked at the fund balance of $1.94 million. We believe that fund balance will carry us for the next 5.5 to 6 years if we were to do nothing. So I just wanted to share that, that update. Were there any other, I just want to.
Can you give us an update on where we are with the fund spending in this current fiscal year? Meaning how much of our proposed budget has been not appropriated, but spent versus what was appropriated? Do you have that?
No, I don't. I don't have that number, but I can get that for you. The information that I have is our approved budget as well as the amount of revenues that we have received to date, and with that projected out. In addition to that, we have the numbers projected out for fiscal year 27 all the way out to fiscal year 29 to cover a 5-year period. Realizing that we started back in half of calendar year 2020, half of fiscal year 2025. So we do realize that we will have to go into our savings account. One of the things I do wanted to just mention is that WITN has been not spending as greatly because we have cut down immensely. So, for example, there's not as many staff like doing travel or going on, conferences, but we're not going to deny them because they do need, like training. There's not much wiggle room in their budget. I will say that 85% of their costs is people costs, which is staffing, healthcare, pensions, and benefits for the most part.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from any commissioners? Commissioner Walker?
Sorry, Mr.
You're
Chair. Just trying to wrap my head generally around where we're going with the fund. Can you talk about I know you said you're controlling costs. Are there any other fiscal control measures to ensure we're not going over budget or increasing our budget while we try to figure out the solvency issue?
With the, as far as the budget, there is not going to be like an increase to the budget unless there are absolute things that are needed for like equipment purposes. So we're trying to maintain a status quo budget when it comes to MS&E. So, unless there's like anomaly, right? When it comes to staffing, there's things that we can't control, meaning healthcare costs is going to be increasing. We have to worry about pensions and the cost of living adjustments for staff and performance adjustments for staff. That's also will be factored in any type of budgetary numbers.
I do want to just call out and appreciate the work that was done this year's budget over previous years in general for MS&E. You all did a great job at decreasing that. I think the total was about a $230,000 change over the fiscal year, and must be commended. So I don't want to think I'm harping on what's not being done, because I see the efforts that are taking place, and I think it's greatly appreciated, not by just me, but by the public as well, to be financial stewards over the funds we have. The general question is, do we expect to make any additional cuts to MS&E in the upcoming budget cycle? Have there been discussions with the staff?
As of the moment, there's not any plans to make any drastic reductions in MS&E because there's not a lot of like major items. A lot of items that's in WITN's budget deals with like major equipment needs. So we need to have that type of money, and we also have money in for training. For conferences. So other than that, it's not like a lot of money. One of the things that was reduced last year, because we was in the midst of negotiations, so we had a high dollar figure in for our outside attorney, so we was able to reduce that out. Also, we had anomaly expenses with our TPO that was budgeted in for WITN for last year, so we had to reduced that out. One of the items that is in the budget that we had in for a placeholder for any type of TPO maintenance issues, that was budgeted at $42,000. I mean, that figure will come out because, we're trying to be cognizant of cost. In addition, that's going to be a savings for this current budget because we won't have to utilize that figure.
Thank you. There was Mr. Chair, one final question.
Yes.
Thanks for indulging me. There was an ordinance passed by City Council last night requiring virtual meeting options for the public, and I think we all agree with allowing transparency to take place. My current understanding is that there have been a number of subcommittees created, or task force, or working groups which seek to involve community members, which are a good thing, in helping to get that feedback on how we operate as a city. My current understanding is that all city council meetings involve WITN handling virtual meeting options. I know it was not enumerated in the ordinance that it was mandated that WITN handle those virtual meeting options, but it is the current practice. Do you expect, because that is the current practice, to see an increase in WITN's work? Will that result in a change to how they currently operate within the budget, or are we keeping things status quo and city council staff is going to be responsible for those ad hoc virtual meetings?
Chair, so I just want to clarify. I mean, there was quite a few discussions on the floor at the council meeting. For example, the ZBA meetings, WITN does not cover those. Like planning commission meetings, WITN does not cover those. So we do have various subcommittees. With those subcommittees, we use like Zoom technology, and we don't necessarily, we don't use WI-10. For example, we have the Police Accountability Board, which was approved by ordinance of council. So for those meetings, there's Zoom technology that we have Zoom accounts for, but WI-10 is not recording those meetings. If for a subcommittee, if for some reason, they need to have some type of live production, because we know we have the issue with the solvency of the fund. Typically, if something like that was to come up, that would be like a conversation that will be held with our president and chief of staff. But as of the moment, it has not been planned to use their services for that.
Thank you. Okay. Those are all my questions, Mr. President. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Bracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Marshall, could you remind us when the franchise agreement expires, please?
Well, we just signed the extended agreement in 2024 for 5 years.
Okay.
So it'll be 2029. So when this pot of funds that I just mentioned runs out is when that money runs out, because we based our budget based upon that 5-year projection of funds based upon that agreement, because we could tell how much money we was going to receive.
Thank you.
Yes, Marshall.
Yes, and I just wanted to answer Chairman Walker's question. Commissioner Walker, as far as WI-10's expenditures year to date. So year to date, they have expended $341,000. So I just want to mention that. And out of that 341,000, 300,000 is employee costs and benefits, and roughly 43,000 was MS&E.
All right, thank you. Do any other commissioners have any questions or comments? Do any council members? Yes, excuse me, Commissioner Williams.
Is it possible to have a budget to actual for the current fiscal year going forward, just so that we could see it?
Yes, I can forward to you the weekly reports that we get, and share that with the committee. I can share with you all the last report that we received as of what date is this? This is as of 12/1. I can forward that to you. To the commissioners.
Commissioner Walker.
Sorry, one final question, Mr. Not that I need this answer now, but since we're talking about solvency, I would be curious, and it was stated, I think it was 85% of our costs are staff costs. What would our staffing look like if we were to budget, to present a balanced budget without using our fund balance for the KTV funds? Not something we need to answer now, but I think it's something that we can get to the commission after the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, I think that's something we can look into and get sent out after.
All right, thank you. Do any council members who are virtual have any questions or comments? Does anyone from the public have any questions or comments? All right, seeing no hands raised, we're going to go to our next agenda item. We're going to have a presentation by King Creative, Christopher Bruce. If anyone from your team can please come up for your presentation. You can stand or sit, wherever you're most comfortable.
This will work. How's everybody doing? It's good to see you all.
All right, good seeing you.
So, in terms of the presentation, I would say this is more of an introduction for those of you that maybe don't know me. I obviously know some of you all pretty well as well, seeing that we're rooted in the city. King Creative is right there in the heart of Wilmington at 8th and Market. We are a film production company specializing in connecting with audiences through streaming, through documentary, film production, TV series type content. We also have a full-scale music production studio where we are bringing original works to life every day. So our focus is about creating great content, making that accessible to audiences across various platforms. We currently have a feature film coming out, which will be actually at the Grand Opera House for a world premiere event. That will also stream on Amazon Prime and Verizon Fios through our distributor, which is very exciting. So we are producing top-level content. We're doing that all the time. That's what we do. And we help people tell their stories, deliver their messages, connect with their audiences. And we support a number of nonprofits, corporate clients, individuals through, everything from podcasts to series content, like I said, television type shows, movies, and more. So, when we were approached with the idea and we've, started this process, we're excited to explore how that can work, where we can be an asset and a partner to revitalize the Channel 28. And we're here to, answer any questions. But first today, I just wanted to make sure we connected, said hello, and you guys knew a little bit more about who we are and what we're about, if you didn't already know. And if you need tickets to the premiere, I can get you the link. Just let me know. January 8th, put it on your calendar. Bringing out a little bit of Hollywood to Delaware. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay. Commissioner Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. As you probably tell, I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, questions are good.
Apologies, but it's good to see you.
Yes.
I was curious in your statement. You mentioned you support your clients in their production.
Sure.
Curious about what does your conceptualization to production to implementation to showcasing look like, and what's that timeline look like for you in your current work, and does Channel 28? How is Channel 28 with their very short, quick, community-focused type programming mesh with your work more as, supporting clients produce their own
I think it's a great question. I think ultimately, that is part of what we're exploring and figuring out the rhythms of. We have specific team members that are in various, roles, some of which would apply very directly to operating this type of programming at the station. A lot of our live, stream and other type productions very much connect to this type of work. My focus with this channel, as when it was first introduced, is to kind of bring it back to what its intention is about, and that is to shine a light and to give a platform and a voice for people of the city, and to represent, very equally and fairly everyone in this community. So it is about getting back to the roots of what Channel 28 is about, trying to give people that voice and providing the the skill and the tools to do that with our team. We have the ability also to scale and bring on certain individuals if we need to dedicate to the channel that way, essentially help assist in, us be able to manage our workload and, be able to kind of stay on task and on focus for make sure that Channel 28 is active and it's going in the right way. Right now, there's not a lot happening with the channel, clearly, and what we would be looking to do in partnership with the city is just to make sure that we get it back up and running the right way, and that we take a realistic approach to kind of igniting the channel and getting programming back on that is new and that is fresh and that is on topic and on point, bringing voices and topics to our community that are important.
Yes, Commissioner Walker.
Follow up, Mr. Chair. Can you, for the edification of the commission and as well as those public members who maybe listen, you gave very high level the areas of focus for your group, but could you give specific examples of the type of programming that we could expect, and what does that programming look like?
Sure.
As someone who would watch it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that there's a lot of things you can do, and I think this is important because, as an idea guy, as a producer, we can produce things at a very high level, but we have to also be realistic within the budgets, and not only our budget, but those that would want to utilize the channel. So what my goal is to make this very accessible. What it will be is clean, professional, and available. I do work on Good Morning America. I'm a contributor, and I'm in those rooms and on those sets. You're not going to see all the bells and whistles that you see on ABC at that level. It's just, it's not in the cards, it's not realistic. But what is realistic is that you have a really nice shot that is lit properly and that sounds good, and it will be available. It'll be on. So what I want to try to do is create a realistic support and opportunity for people to have a voice. This programming would be that, right? We want to give them their soapbox. We want to allow for them to share their message in a clean, consistent, and professional way that is not going to break the bank. That is going to be, make it so that people, real people in our community can get on and share their story. This doesn't have to be, necessarily top tier in terms of budget productions. I think we have to be really honest with what this is. But that's my goal, is really to just give people a voice that they can count on, allow for a platform that'll work and that they'll be able to understand how they can leverage it for themselves. We'll have to be developing different types of programming and shows as we go, and it would be a collaborative process with the community to bring things forward that make sense within those types of constraints.
Mr. Chair, one final follow-up.
Yes.
Could you identify some of your local program partners?
I mean, people that we work with, there's folks like, Goodwill, and from a nonprofit standpoint, we lead Do More 24, Delaware's broadcast, which supports 600 plus Delaware nonprofits, many of which are right here in our community. I host a 24-hour broadcast for that event. That is quite a task, but again, it shows and further identifies the capabilities that we have to put out programming at that level. So we work with a number of nonprofits. We work with a number of corporate clients, as well as artists and others in the community, and we create opportunity for them to share their message and connect with their audience. So it's a very diverse group, quite frankly, and I think that puts us in a good position because we are not a niche group where we just do one thing. We have a pretty wide variety of content that we produce and provide. So I think that plays well for this and gives us the flexibility needed to produce what's needed for this channel.
Thank you, Commissioner Bracy.
Good to see you.
It's great to see you.
I just had one quick question. Do you have existing work that is already ready that could go on?
Sure, there's some content that would be ready to go that we could ultimately utilize in the short term to kind of fill some gaps and get things going, because I do understand that that's necessary. Mm-hmm. Obviously we'd be working towards producing fresh and new content, but even just, from that Do More 24 campaign alone, there are countless interviews and features that have been produced over the last few years that could be leveraged. And that's a lot of programming, quite frankly. So there's quite a bit we could line up to help fill a gap to start. Yeah, it's about making it accessible right now. And I know I'm a very realistic problem solver when it comes to things like this. I think we have to look at what's in front of us. And, ideas are not the problem. It's all about how you execute and get it done. And we have to think, okay, how does this, work moving forward? And the partnership, the communication, I know we've talked about this briefly, is so important. If there are expectations, if there are hopes from your side that need to be, addressed and considered in this, I would just hope that we have real, open, and honest conversations about that so that we can work together as good quality partners so that we can get programming on the channel that makes sense and is something that ultimately the city can be proud of and it represents it well.
Commissioner Owens.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more to what it would look like for the community to be able to come on and have a show and have their voice heard as well, too?
Yeah, that is some of what we would be developing a process for that. There'd be, I think the very simple thing is you could create a Google intake type form that would be accessible. So anybody that had interest, they could reach out and go through a consistent process, which, would be the goal, is to make it so that it's accessible and consistent. Everybody would have an opportunity to essentially submit something. There will be, as you would imagine, some established rate cards, which we don't have all that yet because we're still working out, details, but that would be upfront and understood and easy enough to kind of navigate. And that would be a process that we would work hard to get going right away because that's needed to get things moving. But that would be available to anybody that would want that.
Any follow-up, Commissioner Owens? No? Commissioner Walker?
Just to follow up on the rate card conversation.
Yeah.
And as expected, there would be some.
Yeah, it has to be something.
Some sort of rate. Have you given consideration to a percentage of shows that would be available to the community at no cost? Is that in the conversation?
It is in well, it's something that I'm aware of that, might be a part of the conversation. We haven't gone into those specific details in terms of the amount or what that could look like yet, but it is one of the things on my list to discuss, if I have to be honest. Because I don't want any surprises. I want this to be very upfront, very clear, very understood. I think, it's in our nature and it's in my nature. I do a lot of stuff with, especially nonprofit, and we give a lot, but we have to be conscious of sustainability. And I can't, put, my company and the station at risk to do too much of that, because we have to, as you see, we're in the red. And things have to move in a direction where it can continue to be available, because the station isn't any good to anybody if it's not there. So we need to be conscious of that, but absolutely part of the conversation.
Commissioner Walker.
Because there is no, we'll get to this next, but it doesn't look like there's any funding currently being discussed for the station. What does your funding ability look like outside of the rate cards?
Sure. That is part of the discussion that we will have. The initial draft agreement is one that we just received, and it is an initial draft agreement, but, outside of what we're currently, projects we're working on, in our, revenue streams, this I'm trying to operate it as its own within, so it needs to be able to sustain itself. I can't dip into other things for it to be realistically sustainable. So, the time on air is part of that strategy, potential sponsorships, but I think it is a lot to ask of somebody to come in from the outside to start and revitalize a channel without some support. But not to get into too much detail on that now. I think it's a realistic discussion that we will have, and we'll outline that. And hopefully the goal is to come up with an agreement that makes sense. And I think fair is fair and partnership is partnership. With that, there's some give and there's some get, and it should go both ways. And it's about establishing and understanding the value and supporting it properly so it can thrive. And I think right now that's what we need to work towards, is creating an opportunity where this can be stable and work well and be what it should be for the city and for our community. So,
Yes, Commissioner Walker.
One last question. Go back to my previous line, which is about programming. We know Channel 28 has historically contained politically pointed programming. Do you intend to keep that sort of programming?
I'm not against political program. I think it's part of the nature of the channel. Again, I think I mentioned it earlier, is like getting it kind of back to its roots and kind of what this channel is about. I do want to, that we've had these discussions. I think getting, the channel operating in a way that does reflect that, so that would be a part of it. I think that there's other religious programming on Sunday worship that is important that we've discussed. That would be one of the focuses. But again, it's everyone having an opportunity to share their message and their voice, and in kind of picking and allowing for programming that's going to give that opportunity for us to kind of enrich our community. And that is through all of those things. And so sure, that would be a part of it. It's not an all or nothing. It's a healthy mix.
Thank you. I'm actually done, Mr. President.
I don't. All right.
For now.
We have one more topic item.
That is until you say something, and that triggers the next question.
I think anybody believes that. But I'm gonna go to Councilmember Darby. I see your hand is raised.
Hello, yes. So I'm at work. I can't talk much. Part-time city council person here. But so I'll send a list of my questions. But I just had an overall question. Overall is King's Creative like our only option at this point? Like,
I can't speak to that. That would be.
Yeah, that's what I said. This is an overall general question about, is this our only option?
I can take it. Thank you, Councilmember
Simmons. Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Darby. So as everyone probably here knows, when it comes to TPO agreements, there is the option for an RFP process. Within this, President Congo decided not to go through with the RFP process, and we reached out to King Creative as a liable option to take on the TPO. So that's why they're here today.
And
Yeah, may I
Councilmember,
follow up?
and Councilmember Darby, I'm sorry that you're disappointed as me, King Creative being an option, all kidding aside.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's
your
not what I'm
fault.
saying.
I know, I'm
What
just
I'm,
teasing.
yeah, what I'm saying is I think there should be options. I don't think we should, my opinion, be just looking at one and see what the options are for everyone. But I have questions that I'm gonna send via email because I'm at work. But I also think there should be more options. I don't think we should just be with one person. I think it allows room for more negotiation to happen when there's other options. So nothing really like against King Creative. So.
All right, thank you.
Chair.
Commissioner Williams.
Chair, did you talk with the city solicitor to see what the city code states as far as whether we need to have the RFP or whether you can choose to go with just a vendor of your choosing?
Marshall.
If I can, I believe President Congo was going to get to that next when Mr. Stant comes up to talk about the agreement. One of the things is it does not have to go out for RFPs, which was discussed with our law department as well as the president. I mean, we do have the ability to do a one-year agreement, and that was also confirmed and discussed with the law department as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Simmons, did you have?
Oh, no.
Okay.
She said.
Is there anyone else from the public? Any other council members who are virtual? Any other commissioners? I'd just like to say just a couple of things regarding just moving forward with 28. As many of you know, this is very, very dear to me. Growing up in Wilmington and knowing what 28 has always been to the city, has always been to our elders, has always been to the grassroots community, and seeing that transition over time was very heartbreaking. And having the ability to bring that back, bring that community back, bring the religious aspect back, bringing the freedom to be able to talk about politics, to talk about whatever someone wanted to talk about, to bring that back is very, very exciting for me. And it means a lot to me. And, talking to the team at King Creative, I just had the feeling that they understand. They understand the want, not only my want, but the community's want. They understand how it needs to be open and accessible. They understand that we have to be fair. And one of the things that I want to be able to do, and I don't mean to keep saying I, but I guess when I'm saying I am really saying like the community, because the channel 28 is sorely missed. Of course, it's not watched as much as it has been in the past, but I probably get questions weekly about when is 28 coming back, and I haven't been able to answer that, and I'm excited about being able to answer that hopefully very shortly. I know we have to do things fairly, and we want to be wise in our decisions, but also want to make sure that we are doing what the community needs and what the community has been missing for a very long time, especially our seniors. And just being able to turn on the TV and see local people, local producers having their own show again, is something that brings a smile to my face, because I just grew up on it, and I know a lot of people miss it. And just having conversations with King Creative, I know that they understand that. Like Sundays was extremely, extremely important to the city of Wilmington, and whether it was political, whether it was just community knowledge, whether it was the gospels playing in the morning, like we really want to get back to that, and at the same time allowing them to fill in the gaps where the gaps need to be filled in. But I'm open to conversations with commissioners, with council members, with people from the community. But I just think that it's time that we get it back in the right hands, and that we do what's right by our community. And did you have any other questions, Chris? Commissioner Bracey?
Thank you. Just one quick question. As he was referencing, kind of like what it was back in the day. As we think about technology and the fact that people also watch on YouTube and other things, is that something that you'd be considering, uploading some shows or snippets on YouTube or social so that we can capture people that may not have Comcast in their homes?
Yeah, that has been discussed and would be a clear and obvious, in my opinion, part of this strategy. So you would, any of the programming that was on the channel would also be able to live socially through virtual and, to various channels like YouTube and other programs. So it makes it more accessible beyond the subscription base.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no other hands raised by anyone in the room or virtual. Virtually, we're going to thank you for your presentation.
It's my pleasure. Absolutely.
All right.
And remember, January 8th, go to the premiere. It's going to be awesome. All right.
Next, we're going to discuss the draft TPO agreement. Commissioner Walker.
Sorry, Mr. President.
Yes.
I'm getting some text here that seem to indicate that the raise hand function is not operating on the Zoom for public comment. Can we have that looked at for a moment?
WIT, I'm not sure if you heard Commissioner Walker's concern. I think WIT, I believe there are people from the community who may want to give public comment, but the raise hand feature doesn't seem to be working. Okay, for anyone who is watching virtually, if you do have a question or a comment, please try to use the raise your hand feature or open up. You may be able to send your message in the chat that's provided, the chat link that's provided. Commissioners, do you think that we should move forward, and then if once that technical difficulty is addressed, we can go back for public comment?
Yeah, I think we can move to the next topic.
All right. So we are definitely working on getting the public to be able to give any input on any of the discussion items that have been talked about so far. So please be patient with us. At this time, we're going to discuss the draft TPO agreement. John.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, some of what I was going to discuss has already come up. The law department drafted a preliminary TPO agreement that was sent to Mr. Bruce, I believe, last week. As of right now, it does not include any funding from the city. Prior TPO agreements included money for rent. There were potential grant submissions that the city was going to give to in prior TPOs that are not in this draft TPO. If we move forward, it would be for 1 year, which Commissioner Williams asked about whether this needed to be under the charter, if it needed to go out as an RFP for a 1-year agreement. It does not. If it works out and we want to do an extension, then we could do an RFP and submit it through the city council process, like we have with past TPOs. The TPO would give King Creative the right to be our manager or third-party operator of our the public access and the local live leased access channels. Concurrently with our TPO, they would have to sign an agreement with Comcast and presumably with Verizon if things with Verizon move forward as we hope they do. And I think the biggest one here, unlike prior TPOs, is it does not involve paying rent for studio use either out on Lancaster Avenue or at 1105 Market Street. We would give King Creative access to some space here at WITN, and the King Creative also would use its own studio space on 727 North Market Street. But again, the biggest one I want to highlight is that as it's written now, there isn't any money being promised, and that any revenue that King Creative would, any costs would have to come from King Creative. And I know Mr. Bruce has already said he's not a fan of that, but that's that can be negotiated if we go down that route. But you know, this that's where we are.
All right, thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions or comments? Surprise, surprise. Commissioner Walker.
Anybody but Daniel? I kid.
My mama raised me to be inquisitive. Two very simple, short questions. The first question is, Mr. Chair, I heard you laugh. The first question is, they're both related actually, but you mentioned the use of space here in this building. The first question to that regard is, will we be having to build out a secondary control room for within our building for this to actually happen? And secondly, accompanied with that, if so, are we eating the cost of that build out from our fund balance? Secondly is, during the conversation with Mr. Bruce, he mentioned, and President Congo mentioned, the idea of bringing back some of the original use, which talked about, religious program, politically pointed program. How do those two things comport with a public government building, or is that going to be explicitly enumerated to be used off-site in a second location if that has to occur?
Okay. Yeah, let me start with, yes, the agreement suggests that a control room or control section would be built for the public channel to try and keep apart, keep no overlap of the government and the public channel. I will say I have not had any discussion with Marshall or Elijah about how much it would cost or who would eat the cost. So I can't answer that one. The best answer for the overlap of religious programming and the government channel is that if there is a dedicated liaison or someone who is appointed or hired to be the point of contact for the public channel, even though it's being run out of the government building, that is sufficient by keeping the government influence out of the public channel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do any other commissioners have any questions or comments? Any other council members? Marshall?
Yes, I just want to to echo on some of the things that Mr. Stant said. From a financial perspective, as a financial officer, is one of the main things is because we just went over the solvency of the fund. Also, one of the things was when we did the 5-year extension with Comcast. So the city no longer gets a $60,000 per grant to be able to pay for rent. We no longer get other types of grant funds that were in the initial agreement. So any type of PEG funds grants that we get, like right now, that $450,000 for PEG grants over 5 years, based upon up to 95 cents per sub. All of that is factored in to be able to cover the cost of our government channel, which is our primary. So I just wanted to state that for the record, for the commissioners, to say that was the reason why nothing was factored into the agreement when it comes to cost. And when it comes to the cost of the build out for the studio, we just have one pot of money. So that pot of funds, will come out of, our savings, or if there's money in WR10, because there's no longer separate pots of funds based upon previous years when we were paying the full cost or the difference of lease space and using those funds that wasn't charged like to the TPO. So that's the reason like we're here where we are now, and the reason we have some funding gaps and deficits.
Commissioner Williams.
Marshall, I just wanted to make a correction. I think the Comcast grant, it was 90,000, not 60.
No, I'm sorry. You're referring. No, the Comcast lease funds that we got every year was $60,000 per year, based upon the franchise agreement, right? So that was the funds I'm referring to.
Okay.
The 90,000 that you're referring to is based upon the 5-year extension agreement that we just signed in November.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker.
Just two comments, not questions, as we consider this. Making sure that we're looping with the IT department to talk about security access requests, badge access issues, things of that nature, as well as how do we bring external network access into our building that doesn't create network security issues. Make sure IT is involved in those conversations. Just a general comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Bracy.
I apologize if I missed this, but how involved has WITN been in this engagement, like to this point, as far as if they're sharing space in the studio, or they're like the operations side of how this would work? Have we already had those conversations with WITN?
Commissioner Simmons, I'm sorry.
Yes, Commissioner Bracy, we have had conversations with the station manager and discussed with him about what that would look like if bringing in a TPO into that studio space.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members? Anyone from the public? Seeing no hands raised. We do want to circle back.
There's a hand raised.
Okay.
April Johnson.
April Johnson, thank you for joining us.
Look like her mic is muted.
Ms. Johnson, please try to unmute your microphone if you want to give public comment. WITN, are you able to reach out to April Johnson to see?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you? How's everyone? I hope everyone is doing okay. I did put my question in the chat, and I'm not sure if this is the proper forum to actually have this question answered, but we have not been getting any communication from the sources that we've actually been reaching out to. So DETV Foundation operated as the previous TPO. And as we all know, that there was a move that incurred from Lancaster to 1105 North Marketplace. And during discussions with people here in this city council, we were told that if we submitted our receipts and, proof of the cost that was incurred for the move, that we would be reimbursed. We are now here talking about new business, and we have not resolved old business yet. So my question is there anyone on this council who can give me direction outside of the current fiscal person that you guys have on staff that I can send this communication to again to make sure that DETV Foundation is made whole from the move from Lancaster to 1105 North Market? Is there anyone here that can answer that question?
Yes, thank you for thank you for bringing that up. We will reach out to you after the meeting today. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Are there any other comments from anyone in the public? If not, returning back to Commissioner Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank you for scheduling this meeting. I know we all get pretty boggled down with just doing the day-to-day work and don't always have the time to just come up and do some reflection as we're trying to address the concerns of our constituents in our operations. And so I do know I requested a number of items on the agenda, and thank you for indulging me in those requests. And I hope my questions point to what I was, why I requested some of those items, which is to get a holistic picture of our KTV fund as well as our cable and communications operations. I think as we move forward, we cannot take baby steps. We have to be working on a holistic plan and taking bites out of that full apple once it is developed. We cannot put Band-Aids on something we know is bleeding underneath. And so I appreciate you for scheduling this meeting and indulging me for these requests, and hope that, you know, the public and my fellow commissioners can see my questions are pointed towards the longevity of a fund and a system that I think is vital for our constituents.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your comments and your questions, Commissioner Walker. Mr. Stan, do you have any further comments?
No, President Congo, I do not.
All right. All right, and if no commissioners or anyone else that is here in the committee room, if you don't have any other questions or comments, I will.
Mr. Chair, will we be getting a copy of the final draft of the agreement once it's done?
Michelle?
Yes, it's, first, we're also waiting for a proposal from King Creative before we can really get a more firm agreement. So we just want to have something preliminary so they can have something to work with.
Understood. Thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moved in second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.